Hi there, my name is Justin Singh, and in this PowerPoint, I'll be explaining to you my observations and experiences I faced during the beer distribution game and what the bullwhip effect had to do with my experience. Before we go ahead, I want to familiarize what the bullwhip effect really is. The bullwhip effect uses the stability of demands which deals with order fluctuations in the supply chain. So the beer game gives us an idea on how to manage the typical supply chain of goods and how to maintain low costs with different components that may affect each other. So main factors that contributed to the bulb effect starts off with assessing the outgoing deliveries, which helps to be aware of how many orders of beer are being delivered from the supplier who is the wholesaler. As retailers, we order more product each week from the wholesalers depending on how our inventory looks. This way, it lets us see if we have a shortage on our stock, which would result in placing a larger order for the beer through, which would cause a wholesaler to place an even bigger order, which would potentially cause us to overproduce and have a way too much stock on our hand. As a result, this will cost us a significant amount more each week while having a large amount of stock. Second is maintain the incoming orders and shipping. Maintaining our incoming orders can be crucial in this game. As per this role as a retailer, we can easily be deceived by the increases and decreases of the demand shocks by our customer orders. This would then influence our decisions and use that as an indicator of the forecasted demand. With that, if we, the retailer, do not decide to distribute our stock, then we can be left with too much or too little inventory, which will lead us to backlog or by placing us on a hold on the number of orders that we can produce until we distribute our inventory. Next is the push incentives. So push incentives can help manage forecasts and demand and can be demand based. Push being the trend that helps reduce the high inventory levels and get customers' demand to rise instead. These consist of promotions, quantity discounts, merchandise prior to sale, which can overall be an important factor when having overstocked and needing a way to reduce it. Techniques adopted for mitigating the bulb effect. First is limiting order sizes and avoiding wrong incentives. When limiting order sizes on a frequent basis, instead of ordering in a batch order can prevent having a large number of stock on hand and prevent increases in cost as well. While limiting stock, this means keeping a specific amount of stock on hand to meet exact customer demands and prevent any unexpected incoming orders from the supply, which prevent backlog and any other demand shocks, which can lead to demand tending to skyrocket. With attention on where the cost consists of, in that occasion can save you a lot. Next is understanding the bulb effect and using an inventory planning tool. This technique helps understand and how your decisions are being affected. Reasoning behind that is that the bulb effect helps justify small fluctuations in demand and increasingly results in fast fluctuations in demand as well. So having an inventory plan will help you take in any risk and unexpected demand turns while understanding why different inventory levels have fluctuated. Results of the simulation and recommendation to future managers regarding these risks. Throughout the simulation, I had experienced fluctuations with large and low amount of stock by trying to minimize my costs by any means possible. But what I interpreted was that following the demand levels, this can lead you to keeping an eye on what customer demands are and prevent your stock from not matching the forecasted demand and helped me create an action plan. In addition, this will give some risk factors for future managers to help them prevent for future practice. First off, we start with ignoring back orders. This can be key while I had times when my inventory was higher than what the demand levels were and customers' orders were. This I went from attempting to minimizing the cost to just increasing it by thinking I was in the safe zone. Then I kept my stock too low in a sense, then once I hit backlog, this then resulted in batch ordering which affected my inventory level when I received stock. Batch ordering can cause inconsistent order spikes in the supply chain and can be misread to where this is an increase in consumption and we as a retailer order too much stock while having a large amount of hand or led to delay in the delivery of supplies which do not arrive at the expected time, which is the lead time. The simplest approach to this is analyze the incoming order and the level that your inventory is sitting at. With that, every week you then order that specific amount and to fit your goal. And as you can see here, my cost throughout the session was 42,920 euros, and my service level for 35 weeks um, was 70. I had backlog, so that's 70% of the session time. I was only at least one of the stakeholders had backlog, and I was out of stock for 10 weeks. For 20% of the session, my beers weren't available for sale, which isn't too bad, knowing that I wasn't keeping too much inventory at a sense, and I was understanding what the game actually was. Emotions and experience. My emotions while playing this game led to a lot of overreactions and frustrating moments, which resulted in over or under ordering. Factors which led to overreaction and panic ordering was when inventory levels would decrease. This moment would have me making decisions on how much to order and to be cautious on ordering too much at one time, as well as slight changes in demand, where if demand increased and my stock was not going to meet the demand standard, this would also lead me to increase my inventory, and the other way around, where the inventory would rise and I would have to turn out to increase, and all my costs would increase, and I would just have inventory just sitting there. Also, moments where my inventory would hit backlog would have an effect on me, where I would just also just start over ordering and be sitting at the same inventory level for consecutive weeks without actually meeting any of the inventory levels and having backlog as well. Strategies and objectives. My strategy was to always be aware of delays within weeks of not delivering or receiving orders and prevent any shortages on my stock and inventory. As I wanted my costs to be as low as possible, I wanted to focus on inventory costs and mainly the back order costs, trying to avoid that $5 per week, or try to avoid the $25, 25 euros, sorry, per week. I played the strategy where you keep at a stable large stock. I tried to order more stock at once from the beginning of the game while keeping in mind the inventory costs and backorder costs while trying to meet the demand standards. While implementing my strategies, I always tried to match demand fluctuations and what I was doing, that I was able to make the orders to the distributors, but over time did not work effectively for me. While many times I had too much stock on hand and my inventory costs were adding up, I never really realized how much my inventory costs were adding up till I realized that being in the safe zone wasn't really the best choice. And as you can see, as I was saying before, the inventory cost consists of 5 euros per week, and the back order cost consists of 25 euros per week of you being back ordered. Changes in behavior after experiences with the system. Yes, my mindset changed a lot after experiencing and playing the game and trying to understand what the system really is. My mindset was to maintain a safe amount of stock from the beginning to avoid being backlogged. But when I realized that keeping too much stock on hand and trying to stay in the safe zone wasn't really the plan, wasn't really a safe plan, it also increased my inventory per week while having a lot more while risking a lower stock and risking backlogs just once or twice, which could have got me to a lower overall cost. By doing this, I had realized I didn't need as much stock on hand and noticed how the system began to work. Specific orders I noticed was keeping stock as close to nothing would keep me from meeting demand fluctuations and standards. If an increase ever decided to occur, I could not set out orders which matched the customer demands or even be delivered on time. Overall, focusing on inventory levels and demand forecasts can help to adjust and predict unexpected fluctuations to maintain your costs and ensure you're minimizing them to the lowest they can be. Here I have my works cited page and all my references, and thank you for listening to my presentation. Have a nice day.